This is David Reimer, and what happened to him has to be one of the most horrific, tragic, and sad things I've ever heard. So, trigger warning, this is a disturbing story. So, David was born in 1965 in Winnipeg, Canada, and he was actually a twin. His original name was Bruce, and his brother's name was Brian. When the boys were just 7 months old, their mother took them into the doctor for a circumcision. However, the doctor doing the surgery did it in an unconventional way. He used a method known as electrocauterization. Essentially what it is, it's a heated tool that uses electrocurrents to cut through tissue. This is an example of one of those machines. And when it came to David's turn, the doctor was said to have made a horrible mistake. He had damaged his private parts beyond repair. So obviously David's parents were mortified and were extremely concerned about what this would do to David as he grew up. So when he got a little bit older, they decided to take him to Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. They took him to meet this guy here, John Money. He was a psychologist that focused on gender identity. He believed that gender identity was primarily influenced by social learning. So essentially what he proposed is that David's parents raise him as a girl. He then persuaded David's parents to have him go through reassignment surgery when he was just 22 months old. And from there, David's parents would raise him as a girl and changed his name to Brenda. And both David and his brother would continue visiting John Money on an annual basis so they could get assessed. John Money was also using this as a form of experiment to see if his theories were right. However, he did some very disturbing and questionable things. We would later find out that when the boys would go visit him, he would make them do some very disgusting things. In order to teach them about sexuality, he would have both of the boys role play with each other and put them in very questionable positions with one another. Whenever the twins resisted or felt uncomfortable about doing this, John Money was said to have been extremely angry with them. Of course, as you can imagine, all of this had a very traumatic experience on both of the boys. When David reached 13 years old, he started taking estrogen. And as he started going into his teenage years, he started to feel very strange. He just felt like he wasn't meant to be a girl. And he started expressing this to his parents. And when he turned 14, his parents finally decided to tell him the truth about what happened to him. At that point, he decided to revert to being a male again and changed his name to David. David would then go on to grow up and tried to have as much of a normal life as possible. He even went on to get married. Sadly, everything that he had gone through was extremely traumatic for him and he was having a hard time dealing with it. He was also on antidepressants, and on May 4th, 2004, he unalived himself in his car. He was only 38 years old. This is a very long and complicated case, so I suggest you guys look it up and do some more in-depth reading.